Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Ashley Owen, and I'm the Associate Dean of Students here at Wofford College. It's my pleasure to coordinate new student orientation for the class of 2029, along with our terrific campus life staff and campus partners. There are several checklist items that are located in your my.wofford.edu website that we ask you to complete each year. And we've also found that it's helpful to gather via video conference several times throughout the summer through this Terrier Talk series to walk through how to complete certain tasks and also answer questions from our new students and their families. Last week, we gathered to discuss application for housing and roommate groupings. Just a reminder that that deadline is June 27th. If you were unable to join us last week, please note that that recording is now available on the new student information website. At this time, I'd like to introduce our presenters for today. Dr. Cynthia Curry, Director of Academic Advising, Lillian Gonzalez, our Professor of Accounting, Dr. Boyce Lawton, Dean of Student Success, and Dr. Stephanie Baker, Professor of Biology. Today's Terrier Talk covers Introduction to Advising and Course Schedule Planning, and this is a wonderful group that worked together through the summer to assist you in your advising journey prior to your arrival on campus for the fall semester. I also want to note that we're happy to answer any questions that you have at the end of the talk. So feel free to post any questions in the Q&A feature of the call. Dr. Curry, I'll turn it over to you.
Well, hello and welcome. Thank you so much, Ashley, and welcome to this presentation. So today we just hope to give you some information for students transitioning into Wofford for the important family and friends. So this will be the first of two Terrier Talks. The second will be on July 8th, which will be focusing more on the class schedule plan. We'll touch on it today, but the one on July 8th will go into more detail. So please mark your calendars and make plans to attend then. So both of these meetings are offered by the Summer Advising Team, and we are a group of advisors who provide support and guidance for students throughout their transitions to Wofford and as they prepare to register for classes. In that work, we answer general questions, but we also refer students to other campus resources that are available. Today, we're happy to begin our work with Wofford's new students and those who support them as we introduce you to human and tech resources that will be important in this transition. Additionally, we will focus on knowing the important dates, timelines to follow, and offices and other resources that you may have any questions.
Hey, Boyce, are we on slide 3?
Oh, I thought we were gonna. I thought we were gonna introduce ourselves.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry about that. Well, I guess I need to go back to that again. As Ashley had said, my name is Dr. Cynthia Curry. I am the Director of Academic Advising. We also have Dr. Boyce Lawton. He's the Dean of Student Success. We have Professor Lillian Gonzalez, who is Professor of Accounting. And also we have Dr. Stephanie Baker, who is a Professor of Biology. So thank you for that. Thank you, Dr. Lawton.
She had said that part.
Yeah, she had.
I want to self-disclose to all of you out there that I'm at the beach, and so I'm a little bit behind. Okay.
Yes. So, but thank you so much. So
right.
next, we're going to talk about today's topics. First, we'll talk about the intro to a liberal arts education. We'll give an overview of the missions and the values and what it means to have a liberal arts education. Next, we'll focus on Wofford's graduation requirements, and it falls into 4 categories. And those are what are the general education requirements, major declaration, interim, and also the electives that are required. These are all essential for graduation and just important for living as well. We'll further introduce you to the Summer Advising Team as your primary academic resources and look ahead to other resources available to students as well. We are here during the summer to answer your questions. And if you have any questions that you would like to submit after the Terrier Talk, please send them to the Summer Advising email box, which is advising@wofford.edu. And as you submit your questions, we ask that you please submit them from your from your Wofford email. Sometimes we will get parents who email us with general questions, which is fine. But if it doesn't come from an actual Wofford email address, we can just only give you general information. So if you have specific questions regarding your plans, please have your students to email us from the Wofford email. You're more than welcome to copy your parents on the email, but we are bound by privacy laws, and so we do encourage you to contact us from your Wofford email. We'll review other academic resources that can be found in your FYI tab, the new student information page, the Wofford catalog, and the interactive master schedule of classes, which all of you will be more than familiar with by the time you submit your class schedule plan. Dr. Lawton will talk in more detail about other academic responsibilities, such as submitting the APIB scores, transcripts, dual enrollment credits, and we'll also look ahead at how that fits into completing your class schedule plan when you're registering. Last but not least, we'll review important dates, timelines, responsibilities for the summer, and introduce you to other resources that you may need, such as accessibility services, the registrar, financial aid, and athletic compliance. And next, we will turn it over to Professor Gonzalez, who will talk about our meeting goals.
Thank you, Dr. Curry. Today, our goals are that you understand the foundational ideas for our approaches to advising. We want students and those supporting them to know the responsibilities of students and advisors under the Family Educational Rights and Privacy Act, FERPA. We will introduce you to resources, the new student information page, and the FYI tab of My Wofford. We want you to know that our email address, and you'll hear this frequently today, advising@wofford.edu, is an essential resource for questions and important information, especially class schedule planning and registration requirements. We want and need students to read advising emails carefully and to write to us when they have questions as part of creating an approved class schedule plan and then registering for fall 2025 courses. Now, FERPA, the Family Educational Rights and Privacy Act, what is it? As students move into college, the requirements for educational institutions change significantly from high school to college. The law that lets a parent go into a high school and ask to see attendance records, grades, and permanent records now establishes the student as the owner of records held by the college. And this is an important shift, one that families should discuss in the summer before the student begins college, because family members who have had access to grades, schedules, attendance records, and bills, for example, do not have automatic access when the student is in college. These are privacy protected records, and in college, students own the records and grant or deny access to them. Family expectations for access to bills, and the students don't usually mind or complain about that part, or grades is a conversation to have now. Family decision-making about access should happen over the summer to reach agreements about what information will be shared and not shared. To facilitate appropriate sharing of things like bills and midterm grades and final grades, Wofford has a process called proxy access. The students will log in and grant access to people they want to have access to bills and grades. It's important to note that students can change those designations at any time. And as advisors, we can't override those decisions. So you may be asking, what information can people supporting students have? Advisors can connect family members and friends with resources published by the college. We can also answer questions whose answers begin with, at Wofford, students, referring to all students. So at Wofford, all students must take philosophy. Or at Wofford, we, again, referring to all of us, all students. At Wofford, we require 120 credit hours to graduate. For a more specific scenario, let's say that an emailer states that they are a parent helping with registration. They may ask, Has Stephen received AP credit for Math 140? We can answer that question for Stephen if Stephen writes from his wofford.edu email account, but we cannot answer the questions posed by an individual from a Gmail or a work account who may have the student's permission to ask, but who may also be a stranger fishing for information fraudulently. We don't know, and our responsibility is to work with the student. So the summer advising team is available to student and family members alike, but we will be very careful to follow legal requirements as well as college processes appropriate for the student's stages of development. It takes patience as everyone is in transition, learning a new system. Now, what about sharing your questions and concerns? Knowing whom to consult when questions arise in a new system is one of the biggest transitions. Those of us on the advising team can direct students and family members to resources whenever it is helpful. As our provost, Provost Schmitz, has said, the president or provost isn't the best resource for questions about schedules, housing, or other concerns like that. Instead, students can check with their advisor or other support resources on campus to learn who can address their interests or concerns. And I know we're saying this a lot, but it's worth repeating. Students should make inquiries from their Wofford email account because of the privacy requirements that we work in. Friends and family should encourage students to email advisors over the summer. Once they're on campus, they can also set appointments to meet with resources. Again, if they don't know whom to address, their advisor can help them identify that person. The resources on this slide can answer specific questions for students and general questions about college policies and practices for others, not specific questions about an individual student's records or situations, however. As we look ahead to students' registration and beginning classes, understanding Wofford's curriculum is important. To talk about Wofford's strong liberal arts education, I'm going to turn things over to Dr. Baker.
Thank you, Professor Gonzalez. Wofford's commitment to liberal arts education is expressed well in the college mission statement, which is shown on this current slide. Our mission is to provide superior liberal arts education that prepares its students for extraordinary and positive contributions to a global society. The focus of Wofford's mission is upon fostering commitment to excellence in character, performance, leadership, service to others, and lifelong learning. So you can see that our focus is developing the whole person for living with a commitment to excellence and positive impact on individual lives and communities and the world. But we know that career and work are important. That's what's probably at the top of a lot of people's mind right now. But we also know that individuals are more than their work. The education at Wofford helps to develop the individual's character and breadth of learning through general education requirements, elective courses, and interim coursework, as well as in major specific knowledge, so that Wofford graduates lead, serve, and continue to learn throughout their lives. So sometimes students enter the college focused only on their major. So it's important to know from the beginning that our curriculum has 4 components. All are part of the Wofford Liberal Arts education. A major is required for a Wofford degree. However, the college embraces learning and growth through a wider education whose applications extend beyond and enhance the discipline-specific knowledge of a major. So where can you find information about what's required? The Wofford College Catalog is very important for all students. We do expect students to look at the catalog, to read the catalog. Finishing the requirements is the student's responsibility. Advisors are here to help, but ultimately it is a student's responsibility to know what is required. And a great place for that is the Wofford Catalog. You can use this when you're planning for your first semester, when looking at transfer credits, as you explore majors and registration in general. You can find a link to the catalog at My Wofford, and you can also just find it by doing a web search for Wofford Catalog. So for example, As students transition into Wofford, the summer advising team fields a lot of questions about courses required for majors, and it's important to know about those major requirements. In your new student information webpage, you'll find a link to suggested first courses in each major. It's important to know, however, that very few majors require or even suggest that students begin in their very first semester. Some exceptions. Students majoring in chemistry or physics do need to get started in their first semester, but students majoring in other sciences don't have to start in their first semester, but are strongly encouraged to begin in their first semester. Also, students who want to major in a language benefit from getting started in their first semester. But other majors, so like economics, computer science, art, history, English, accounting, for example, those don't require that students begin in the first semester or even in their first year. So if a seat's not open in one of those classes, don't worry. But you might be wondering, so if I don't get in one of those classes, then what do I take? Students must complete general education requirements to graduate, along with 4 interim courses. Students must complete 120 hours. So for our requirements-focused students, we always say, yes, a major is required. General education courses are required, interim courses are required, and hours are required. So electives, free choice courses taken out of interest for breadth of learning are also essential for graduation with 120 hours. The timing can and does vary. If you're focused on a major only, then that's confer about the flexibility of thinking and planning that will serve you well in completing your Wofford degree. So as I've mentioned before, there are general education requirements, and they're listed on the slide here. These courses allow students to explore and develop interests beyond the major, and they add richness to students' living. Students complete general education requirements in areas like Introduction to Liberal Arts, Inquiry across Disciplines, and Civic Consciousness. So those are the 3 major categories. And these include areas such as English, fine arts, history, language other than English, literary studies, mathematics, philosophy, religious studies, social science, natural science, and diverse and global perspectives. So how do students make sure they're not behind in their major coursework? Remember, there are only a few majors that require that students begin in the first semester. Of course, if seats are open, they can begin major courses, but if not, students can start taking their general education courses. You do have 4 years to complete the major, to complete the general education courses and all requirements. And I know you might get tired of hearing this, but if you have questions, please write to advising@wofford.edu to ask specific questions about your interest and needs. All of the advisors have good training in multiple majors, although there might be times I'll say, maybe Professor Gonzalez would be a better person to ask about accounting, and I can answer questions about science. But we do ask that you work in email. That way you get a written response that you have a copy of and we have a copy of. That way, if multiple advisors are looking at something, we all are looking at the same thing. And now I'll turn it over to Dr. Lawton.
So we've gone through a lot of the big picture ideas of what you need to take over your 4 years. You have to have 120 hours, you have to have a major. But then the specifics often cause a great deal of excitement, anxiety for our incoming students. So what is your first semester going to look like? It's going to be between 13 and 16 hours for almost all of you. Every single one of you is going to take the first year experience course. Every single one of you is going to take the Liberal Arts 101 seminar. No matter what, those things are going to happen. Even if you've brought in English 101, which is somewhat similar to LIBO 101, you'll get elective credit for English 101. You're still taking LIBO 101. We strongly recommend that you begin your Wofford studies with a foreign language course. Those requirements are going to be that you take either a 101 and 102 course, or that you take a 200 level language. And so for some of you, that will start with a 102 course in the spring, and then that will go to a 201 in the fall or later. But we very much encourage you to do that. If you have not taken your modern language placement test yet, which there are about 120 of you who have not, please take that as soon as possible. If you are a Latin-only student in high school or an ASL-only student in high school, please write advising@wofford.edu. Tell us that you were Latin only. I will go in and mark that your learning language placement test has been completed. So you're going to take FYI, LIBA 101. Most of you will take a language course, and then you'll take 2 additional courses. And like Dr. Baker just said, for many of you, that's going to be beginning with a major course, or for many of you, it's just going to be a general education course that you've got that broad array of things that you need to take that we showed on the last slides, and you can take those over the course of 4 years. We will work very carefully with you in that. We've all said already in this presentation, advising@wofford.edu, advising@wofford.edu, and we've said right from us, but I don't know if we pointed out that the 4 advisors on the screen are advising@wofford.edu. So that's one of the reasons we're all here with you together. Professor Gonzalez, Dr. Curry, Dr. Baker, and myself, we are the ones that receive every single one of those emails, which is why it's important that you write that and not one of us in particular. I'm at the beach this week. I probably wouldn't answer. And then if one of us sends you out a response, we'll copy advising@wofford.edu. And so all of us see the answer and we can all pick up on that conversation. So that works really well. But this is your group. We have a whole bunch of years of experience between us. You will be my 29th freshman class at Wofford College. And so we can do a good job answering. All right, so learning communities. So the next thing I want to talk to you. We used to have living learning communities. So I like to point out right away, we are just doing learning communities. These are 2 classes that are paired together, and everybody in one class is in the other class. So registration is important that everybody's in both. The Office of Student Success, which is my office, funds all the students in those courses so that you can have more experiential activities with your professors. So they might go out to eat, they might go to a museum, they might bring in a speaker, but there's more things happening there. This is known as a high impact practice by the American Association of Colleges and Universities. And as you go through college, you might learn more about high impact practices, but these are things that are really correlated with a better learning experience, better outcomes, and a really good sense of community. So in the next slide, I'm going to take you to the my.wofford.edu FYI page. And one of the things I'll do is stop into the July registration drawer, and we'll look at the learning community descriptions. What I will say to all of you on the call and to parents on the call, because I'm sure there's some of you as well, because registration can be a little bit more challenging because you're registering for 2 specific sections, what we always do to encourage students to take place in learning communities is when you apply and you're accepted, I will register you for the learning community classes, and that can be anywhere between 4 and 6 hours. And then on July 22nd, when all of your peers are registering for their first 5 hours, you get 5 more hours of registration. And then on July 24th, when they're registering for their second and final hours with the campus, you don't have many classes at all. So if you register for Learning Community, not only do you have this great experience, you meet a lot of great friends, it's a really good connection with professors early on because you see the same group of people twice a day, but it makes your registration go more easily too. So that's a push for that. All right, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take a second. I'm going to switch us over to the FYI web page. Share. We hope this one. That doesn't look right for me. Does that look right for the team? It's good? You got the whole page? Okay. So you probably are all used to going to FYI or going to My Wofford by now. You found this, so that kind of says that you found that tab. When I'm in the FYI webpage, I would say this is worth looking at every day until the rest of the, until you arrive on campus. And honestly, when you come to campus, you'll be in my.wofford.edu every day for the next 4 years. So it's great to get used to this now. We have tried to organize this and we alter it every year to try to make it a little bit easier, starting with what's due when. So advising questionnaire. There are 70-something people who haven't finished their advising questionnaire, so go check. Have you done it? There are 100-something people who haven't finished the modern language placement. It was due a couple weeks ago. June 15th, emergency contact. All these are here just telling you what's needed. I will tell you that we gauge how serious you are about Wofford by have you bothered to tell us your t-shirt size. So if June 15th has passed and you haven't done that, we're a little concerned. So check those. So all these are down. You'll get all the way down to July 22nd and 24th where we get to registration. What I really like is the ability to click on check my progress. And that opens up a personal screen for you. And it tells me I haven't finished my advising questionnaire. I have done my t-shirt size, and it gives me the dates that I need to get these things done. And so they go through these. Many of these are live. Some of these, like your modern language placement tests, get updated every few days. And so I haven't done those while I've been on vacation. So if you just took your test, you don't have a check mark. But the others will go through. This is a great thing to do. And while I think it's super important for the student to be the owner of this information, this is a nice one to post on your refrigerator and just kind of let everybody in the family keep you on task because there are a lot of moving parts as you start into college. There's a downloaded calendar as well that is another great one to post. That's one of the reasons we put it there. Quick view over the summer so everybody in the family can coordinate what's going on. Okay. Here in the middle, modern language placement test. So again, if you are anything other than Latin only and ASL only, then you need to take a language placement test. Unless some of you are joining us from another country where you hold a passport from another country where English is not your primary language that you grew up in, then you don't have to take the foreign language placement test and you don't have to take a foreign language because English is your foreign language. So all that information is here. Take the placement test. It will take the language department a couple days to review your placement test scores and to review your high school transcripts, and then they will make a placement for you that goes through there. This as well is super important and I think easy to follow. We think of each of these as drawers, so if I need to see what happens in August, I can just expand there. Email, we cannot stress enough how important that is. Whether or not you use email in high school very regularly, the college and all of your professors are going to email you, and the college policy is that we expect you to be checking it. And so admissions is going to email you a lot this summer, and eventually members of the advising team are going to email you this summer. So if you just click here, it's going to say, hey, do you have an Android or an Apple phone? Click and it'll tell you how to set it up so you can see it right there on your phone. If you have any kind of accessibility request, whether they be for extended time or for wheelchair access or whatever you have had in high school and you're hoping to get in college, all that information is right here. Please fill that out as soon as possible. College methods for this are different than high school methods. You have to inform your instructors, so you want to make sure you work with the accessibility office on making sure you follow those policies quite closely. The advising questionnaire, the four of us are going to read that. And so as you say that you wanted to take Chemistry 104 and you told us you wanted to major in chemistry on your advising questionnaire, we can all stop you and say, bad choice, this is not for chemistry major. So that advising questionnaire piece is super important. Financial aid right there, housing form, usually students have that figured out. Medical history and immunization records, those are super important. That office will be getting 450, 470 new forms a year with the transfers and incoming first-year students. So please don't wait until the end to send those in. Modern language placement test, and then Terrier Talks, you can also see them all listed out here. And Ashley, I believe that when they get finished, that we'll post the old ones up here as well. I think that's where that goes to. Okay, going down to July, that's where we're really going to start pushing in. The class schedule plan is going to be a focus of our talk on July the 8th. You need to get that finished by July the 15th, and the hope is that by the time you finish your plan, AP and IB scores have been delivered. And so we'll talk about that in the next slide. And then a step-by-step guide into how to register. And again, there'll be videos, and I think we have another Terrier talk about that as well. Learning communities here, it's not too early to apply. You can see these are the three that are offered. This one is offered by Dr. Stukes and myself on exploration of college student development. If you are placed into Spanish 303, Then you have the opportunity to take the Learning Community of Spanish 303 with LIBA 101X. And again, you have to have the placement. That causes confusion every year. So if you have a Spanish 201 placement, you're not qualified to be in that learning community based on the entry standards. And then the Theater Learning Community, you do not need to be planning to major in theater. Every single class in every single learning community fulfills the general education requirement. So every single class will count toward your degree regardless of your major. So again, great high energy people. That would be a great course for you to take. Okay, so let me get back. All right. If you get asked for your W number on any forms, you can find it here in July. You can also find it over in my personal information. Set up my mobile email. That was also up there in the June steps. Emergency alert info, the feds require us to get 2 types of emergency contact numbers for you, emergency contact and emergency alert. Mobile phone, this is super important. As a last-ditch effort, I'm going to start texting you in the summer if things go wrong. Usually, I have at least 20 students who have listed a parent's mobile phone during the application process. So I'll text a student and I'll get a response back saying that's mom, so please do that. If you are like either of my children or many people I know and you don't go by your formal first name, please update that here as well. So that's a great way on the first day of class when the roll is called. If you don't want to be called by what your legal first name is, please update it down there. I think that's a pretty good place. Another place I'll point out, new student information right here. That's a whole accessible website. Parents, if you Google Wofford New Student Information, you can get there without being behind the password protection. So there's a lot of information for parents and friends that is not password protected, and you can see a lot of stuff there. Normally, I just Google Wofford New Student Information. Okay, I'm going to stop sharing that, and then I'm going to move us to our next screen. Which is, nope, not that one. Okay, so the last piece that I'll talk about, students and academic responsibilities for the summer. So a lot of you are going to be coming in with either AP credit, IB credit. We didn't put Cambridge credit, which is new, I think started at Lucy Beckham and Aiken. I know Aiken was the first one in the state that offered them. All those, CLEP credit, dual enrollment credit, or transfer credit. So at Wofford, you can enter in with a total of 24 hours of credit from elsewhere. Some of you will have more than that. There will be several of you who got an associate's degree before you came. We won't pull all that in. We'll take 24 hours of new credit for you to come in. If you took AP scores, you can see what they will give you credit for by clicking on the advanced placement link here, which you can't click on because it's not, you can't click on a PowerPoint. I always Google Wofford AP scores, and that takes me right to that page. I Google Wofford IB. So we take grades of, and I'm going to pull this up to make sure I got it right. We take 4s and 5s on APs. The only exception to that rule is that if you took BC calculus and you got a score of 3, we would give you calculus for, we would give you credit for Math 181. So that's the only thing we take a 3 on. For IB scores, we only give credit for HL courses. We do not give credit for SL courses. And you need to score a 5, 6, and a 7 to get those credits. Dual enrollment credit. So the difference between dual enrollment and transfer. Dual enrollment you took in high school. You may have taken it at your community or four-year college. You may have taken it on your high school transcript, but it was a college course. We can't use your high school credit for that. So you have to send the transcript. If you took it at Trident Tech or University of South Carolina or University of Maine, send that transcript from there to registrar@wofford.edu. First thing I would do is Google Wofford dual enrollment credit, and it'll pop up and tell you exactly what to do. But send it electronically. We will award credit for that. And then any transfer credit that you've taken, same thing, send the transcript over. So if you are taking summer classes at a 2-year school right now, as soon as that coursework is finished, send that transcript electronically to registrar@wofford.edu. There's only probably one place that you can pick to send it, either admissions or maybe admissions and the registrar. At this point, send it to the registrar. if you, let's see if I can get here. So I'm going to go. If you Google Wofford transfer equivalency, wherever you are in the nation, if we have accepted credit from there before, so I'm going to go to North Carolina, and I'm going to look at CPCC, which is a really big community college. So if we have accepted credit from there before, we will list the course that was at CPCC and what it would transfer over at Wofford, and it would say this would fulfill your fine arts requirement. This would fulfill your English requirement. This would fulfill your history requirement. So you can look at them that way. Because it's not on this list does not mean we won't accept it. This is just an easy way for you to see, hey, how is my dual enrollment credit going to come over? Okay, I think that's it for me. So I'm going to unshare this again. Maybe. Can you all see it? No.
Not yet.
All right, we'll try again. Now, okay.
There we go.
So I'm going to hand it over to Professor Gonzalez.
Thank you, Dr. Lawton. All right, so looking ahead, on July 8th, we'll offer another Terrier Talk with more information that will help students prepare for 2 rounds of registration on July 22nd and the second round on July 24th. So those are your registration dates. The class schedule plan process asks students to review required courses and suggested courses for their interests. First, you're going to use the registration link in My Wofford to create a plan for fall 2025. And there will be a video available to help you, to guide you through that process. Then you'll use the class schedule plan link to submit it to advisors for review, feedback, and approval. Without approval, so we have some issues. All right. So if your plan is approved, students will have advising holds. They will be released. And as long as your advising hold is in place, though, you cannot register. So let me say that again. As long as your advising hold is released, you're going to be able to register. If it is not released, you will not be able to register. Now, every summer, we have a few students who believe that completing the plan is all they have to do to be able to register. But as I've mentioned, there's more. They have to submit it for review and then receive an email from one of us saying that their advising hold has been released. All right, so if a student receives an error message stating that they still have an advising hold, that likely means that they have either not submitted a class schedule plan for review, or the plan they have submitted for review has not yet been approved because changes are needed. So again, check your wofford.edu email to see whether you have received feedback from one of us. It's a very important thing to look out for. Once the advising hold is released, then students will need to log in to the registration system on July 22nd and 24th to register themselves. Completing the class schedule plan by July 15th is essential. As I've mentioned, having it approved is also essential. In all this process, checking and responding to emails that you receive at your wofford.edu email address is going to be really important. On July 8th, we'll offer a more detailed look at the class schedule plan in a Terrier Talk focused on the registration process. Please review the information linked in the FYI tab and the new student information page where Dr. Lawton was just giving us a tour, and plan to attend this important meeting. Write to advising@wofford.edu with questions, and we can't say this enough, You've got to check your email, read the notes from us, from your advisors, and please respond. Okay? So to summarize things a bit for us, we'll go back to Dr. Baker.
Okay, now I'm unmuted. So to summarize what you need to do and to look at the best resources to consult, another reminder to use your wofford.edu email address. If you email us from Gmail or another type of account, we'll send you an email saying, please write back from your wofford.edu email address. Again, that is to protect your privacy. We don't want bad actors getting a hold of your private information. To find information, go to the FYI tab and mywofford.edu. As Dr. Lawton showed, there's a wealth of information there. It may feel a little bit overwhelming, so divide it up into chunks and go through that information. The same for the new student information page. And then remember, we're here for you at advising@wofford.edu. We're dedicating our summers to working with you and making sure that you get here ready to go. And we're really looking forward to meeting you. Okay, and now I'll turn it over to Dr. Curry.
Thank you so much, Dr. Baker. All right, so everyone can take a deep breath now. We know we've given you a lot of information, but this is information that you would definitely need moving forward. So there's a few important dates I just want you to be mindful of that I'll highlight here again. I know we're kind of sounding like a broken record over and over, but it is so important that you please contact us from your Wofford email address. And also be checking that. I would check it every day because there are various things that will come out. We're really starting to ramp up with the schedule plans and approving them, as Professor Gonzalez has stated. You will be hearing from us within the next coming weeks. So first and foremost, the first thing you have accomplished, you're here today for the Terrier Talk on the introduction to advising and, of course, schedule planning. The second Terrier Talk will be on July 8th, and this should be, I think you have received a link for that. This is also in that FYI tab that Dr. Lawton showed us a couple of slides earlier. July 22nd and 23rd, that will be round one of registrations for fall. It's important to note that you will only be able to register for up to 5 credit hours. You will have a complete schedule plan, but you can only register for up to 5 hours. But beginning July 24th and 25th will be round two, where you can register for 13 to 16 hours. So July 22nd and 23rd, you can register for up to 5 hours. The 24th and 25th, you can complete your schedule for 13 to 16 hours. So, and for the remainder of July and August, that's when the summer advising team, the 4 of us here, we will be reviewing and updating your schedules. So it's going to be really important to check your emails during that time, because often, again, we do send out emails. And on August 25th, you will get a chance to meet your actual advisor. The summer advising team will work with you from now until you begin classes up until August 25th. So be checking your email again, because probably about a week or so before the 25th, your actual advisor will be reaching out to you, contacting you to schedule meetings. It will be very important for you to contact them, because these meetings are mandatory. For students who are not able to attend those meetings for some reason, I'm pretty sure, Ashley, you will reach out to those students and say,
shouldn't be any reason. We've built it into the orientation schedule, so we'll see you there.
So if for some reason you can't make it, I'm pretty sure you will hear from Ashley and her department. So please be sure to be mindful and attend those meetings to meet with your general education advisor, because they will be an important resource for you. In this meeting, you'll review your schedule. If there's any minor changes that need to be made, the next day on the 26th, the add drop period will open for the fall. So it's important that you will talk to them, make sure everything is good, and answer any questions that you may have. And as I was saying, excuse me, right here. So A few other reminders to keep, to remind you of. The first meeting will be on August the 25th. Ad drop will open that Tuesday, August the 26th at 7:30 a.m. and it will stay open till September the 3rd at 5 p.m. During this time, you can also meet people for additional resources on campus, such as your major advisors. Like if you're interested in a pre-health major, if you're interested in international affairs, finance, that would be a good time to meet with a major advisor. You can meet with our career counselors. We have a wonderful career counseling staff. You can meet with them. You can learn about study abroad advising from our Office of International Programs, the Office of Student Success, Dr. Lawton and Dr. James Stoops. They also have their a wealth of knowledge and resources about student success strategies, the Terrier Closet, and also you can meet with someone from our undergraduate research and postgraduate fellowship office for additional information also. And now this concludes our presentation. We hope that you have learned some information from us about the resources that we offer. At this time, we will take questions, but the one main thing I would strongly encourage you to keep in mind is to be sure any questions, please contact us from your Wofford email. Contact us at advising@wofford.edu. We will be here all summer to answer your questions. We have a pretty quick turnaround, so don't hesitate to send us any questions. Thank you, and we'll take your questions.
So looking at the Q&A, there are a couple of questions in here from during the presentation. So the first one says, the class registration plan that I created says that I need to get permission from my FYI professor before my plan can be reviewed by my advisor. How can I go about getting this permission so that I can get my plan approved?
So my guess is that you have picked a learning community plan or learning community FI section, which would be mine. And so all you need to do is apply for the learning community course. You can do that under the July tab, learning communities, and it'll take you to the learning community page and apply. And then we will respond back pretty quickly from there. And once we do that, then it should be, the override should be entered in. It'll be okay.
And if they just want to do FYI and just be at that same time, should they
Sure.
look for a different FYI section
They should
with
look for a
a
different one.
different letter just at the
Yes.
same time?
Yes.
And then another question, what is the best way to submit your final high school transcript?
This is going to depend a lot on the high school that you go to. And so I would always reach out to your college counselor or the person who helps you with the college application process at your high school. Some high schools might send them electronically to Wofford, but others are going to send them through the mail to Wofford. But they'll know because they have to send transcripts for every single one of your classmates that graduated to the colleges that they're attending. So just reach out to that person in your high school and ask.
We've got a Gateway specific question. So Dr. Lawton is the head of Gateway. Will students be assisted with registration during the week of July 6th through the 13th when they're on campus?
Absolutely. So Dr. Curry and I probably will both be working with you together. And so we will have several sessions where we go through that.
Any other questions that anyone has that's still on the call? Feel free to drop those in the Q&A box. And again, email is open all summer, so feel free to drop any questions you have to advising@wofford.edu. I want to thank our summer advising team so much for sharing all of that wonderful information with everyone today. As mentioned, our next Terrier Talk will take place on Tuesday, July 8th, and it's a very important one. What to know about registration, and then our final Terrier Talk will take place in August. So Thursday, August 14th, which will go over orientation, move-in for any residential students, and the FYI experience, which is your first fall semester on campus and the experience that takes place there. The recording for today's Terrier Talk will likely be posted on Friday, as tomorrow the college is closed for the Juneteenth holiday. It may be Monday, just knowing who is in the office for the remainder of the week that helps us with our video uploads. So please be patient as that one hits my Wofford. I do believe that the link for the last Terrier Talk is only available currently on the new student information website. So you can go to wofford.edu/information in SI and look at the Terrier Talks there, if the link in my Wofford for the housing video isn't posted in there yet. So, but it is up on the new student information website. Don't see any other questions coming in. Okay, so I think that that's it for today. Thank
Thanks
you,
to
everyone,
everybody.
and we'll see you next
Thank you
time.
so much. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Okay, I've ended the event.